All right, everybody. It was a great week. Everybody's happy to be wrong. Tell you that. We were definitely. I know we hear that on Raiders Twitter all the time about happy to be wrong, but we're definitely happy to be wrong this week. It was a a great win. Welcome to Tape Don't Lie. We're be covering everything week 5 with the win over the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. First win in Arrowhead since 2012 when the before Andy Reid got there. It's the first win in Arrowhead against Andy Reid, basically. Uh, but you know who we are. I am Marcus Johnson at the Mark John NFL. We got my man BD Williams at BD Williams 18. We are back once again. You make sure you subscribe. Definitely appreciate all the new subscribers we got from the last episode. We continue to grow, so we really appreciate you guys. I think we're at 1,206. I think I don't know. We're
Point
pretty good up
two.
there.
Hey, you
Hey,
know,
I mean, we're growing though. You know what I'm saying? We definitely,
I'll take
you
it.
know, saying, yeah, help us get to 2,000. We'll definitely take that. You know, also, like I said, follow us on Twitter at those at BD Williams 18 at the Mark John NFL. So, like I said, it was a great week. The Raiders offense really opened it up. Um, Put up a lot of points, and the Raiders defense in the second half really stepped up, and they got Mahomes and the great Chief offense under wraps. So it was a great week all around. Um, Definitely uh, gives everybody some hope going forward of what this team could actually be, beating a quality team like this. Because even I know like all the big first takers and whatever first things first, Fox News, Fox Sports, ESPN guys are acting like the Chiefs suck now because they lost to the Raiders. But I mean, I'm not going to go that far. Like I've seen people say that the Chiefs defense sucks. I do not believe that. That's not very true. I just think they had a game plan and that game plan did not work. That's basically what I feel about the Chiefs defense. They had a game
Chiefs
plan
game
and
plan
it
did not work. Yeah,
and it
both
didn't
on both
work
sides. Both sides.
on both sides. Yeah, both sides did their game plan didn't work, and which I thought was interesting. And I'll let you get your little piece in before you go, BD. Is that I think that everything that the Chiefs did before this game was thrown out the window, and they were like, "We're playing the Raiders," and then everything the Raiders did weeks before that was thrown out the window and we're playing the Chiefs. I think that that was the interesting thing about like running back the tape and looking back at it. So,
So yeah,
but
I mean that's
go ahead,
that's a good
BD.
segue. Because I think we both caught a lot of flack on social media. Some people who were like, look, you were bashing the team or whatever, and I don't consider it bashing the team to point out all the blown coverages on defense. I don't consider that. That's the truth. I'm not bashing anyone by saying
Yeah,
facts here.
yeah,
But like going back 4 weeks of watching defense, which is what I do. That's my contribution to this show here. Um, there's nothing that I could have taken from the tape, okay, Marcus, and looks with and kept a straight face and told all the listeners that the Raiders have a chance, right? And they were a completely different team. They ran coverages that they had never run before, okay? And usually that means that there's gonna be blown assignments, and there weren't blown assignments in this game. So they turned a new leaf. In most phases. I would say about
yeah.
90% of the defense was a new leaf. So yeah, but I couldn't sit here and have predicted that the Raiders all of a sudden weren't going to blow any coverages and run new coverages that I'd never seen before and decide not to stop the run and just rush the passer the entire game, and have adjustments that actually work. Stuff that we have not seen from the Raiders, basically since, you know, John Gruden and Paul Gunther, since they came in,
I
right?
haven't seen any. I haven't seen any of this
So,
stuff.
so
It's
right,
crazy.
exactly right. It's crazy on both sides of the ball, and that's the fun part about it. But again, I mean, and you're gonna talk about the offense, but so I'll just say this, just for mine, just from the defense. There, I could never have predicted that the Raiders, not even just like saying, okay, they won't blow any coverages. but the types of things that they did on defense, I could not have predicted that they would do. So,
Yeah.
tip of the cap. I'm obviously super happy. I'm glad that it didn't take a miracle, but it was just, both sides of the ball kind of realizing their potential. But yeah, I mean, and for the record, we didn't count the Raiders out, right? We didn't say that they
Yeah.
couldn't win.
Yeah.
We just said it would
They
take,
needed some luck.
they needed some luck.
Which
And I mean, it didn't take like the special teams, turnover, stuff like that we, were betting on on happening, for the Raiders to win. But so tip of the cap to them. Obviously
yeah.
they deserve it.
Yeah, and I'll get into the I know everybody wants to check out how the deep passes happen, and I'm gonna get into that, how they're set up and stuff like that. But one thing I will say before we get into any of this, the next time they play the Chiefs, it's gonna be a totally different game.
Oh
I
yeah,
already
I
know
was
that.
thinking that too. I was like, no,
Like
the Chiefs aren't going to let this happen to them.
like this, I just want everybody to know, like the way that this game went, it was like the Chiefs they came to play the 2019 Raiders.
They
I really
did.
feel like
They
I
did.
really feel like that's what they like. Hey, we played this St. John Gruden's offense. I played it before. I know it's gonna happen. I know it's good. What I'm gonna check for. I mean, you could tell what Tyrann Mathieu was doing, that he felt like that he was gonna check for stuff, and he thought he knew what he was looking at, and
Yeah.
they
Daniel
went at
Sorensen
those
too. He was
tendencies.
jumping everything. But
Yeah, they went
you're
at those
right.
tendencies. But go ahead.
And we talked about this briefly in the last episode that the Raiders the Raiders offense wasn't really going to be worried about what the Chiefs defense had been doing, but how the Chiefs defense had played them in the past, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is almost interesting just from a film perspective. It's almost like a standalone game. Like
I
I
know.
don't
I
think that
know.
the Raiders are going to do these little coverage tweaks that we're going to get into
Yeah.
against every team. I think that they really have this stuff in the playbook just for the Chiefs, And even last year, they played the Chiefs early on, so they were running some interesting coverages. Obviously, that didn't work in week 2 of
Yeah.
2019, and I didn't really ever see them get into those coverages again for the most part of the rest of the year. So at the time when I was charting it, I was like, oh, okay, this is part of the Raiders package. And then I, slowly was able to realize, no, they actually have a specific playbook on defense coverage wise just for the Chiefs. Right.
Yep.
And I think that we saw that again this week. And, maybe some of the things that are happening on offense are kind of similar in that vein. So, yeah, but we'll talk about it. But obviously, I'll be the first one. I'll eat crow. I'm happy the Raiders won. And I know we didn't give them a great shot of doing it.
Yeah.
But, for someone like me, just speaking for myself, who spends like all of my free time watching Raiders tape, crunching numbers that I'm doing for my charting, all that stuff. For them to win, obviously, I'm super happy, even though I didn't see it coming. Right?
Yeah, that's how I feel, bro. I didn't see it's coming at all, but it happened, and we're happy, and let you know how good this team could be if they put it all together every single week. So, all right, but let's go ahead and get into it, Didi. Let's get into a little defense here, see what we got.
All right. So there's quite a few things going on in this game here, and I'll just talk about 2 as far as our video breakdown. Okay. First thing is the Raiders needed to figure out how to prevent Patrick Mahomes from breaking the pocket, okay, and creating with his legs. All right. They got him with one. Early on, Chiefs offense was able to convert a Patrick Mahomes scramble into a touchdown, right? So what they started doing was they started spying him. And this is Nicholas Morrow who's spying him. Takes probably a bad angle there. And of course, Patrick Mahomes goes and makes this ridiculous play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just talk about this, okay? For a defense thinking about a quarterback attempting throws like this, you actually want something like this to happen, okay? Because that is a very ill-advised throw, and there's no QB coach in America at any level who would advise or give a quarterback a good rating for doing something like this. Okay, this is
Uh,
really asking for a turnover, and it's
he's
really only Patrick Mahomes, maybe a prime Aaron Rodgers who could run torso twist 180 degrees midair, sidearm, thread the needle,
the
like just ridiculous. Okay.
you call that the jump pass. There's only a couple guys in on the
Yeah.
earth that could do the
It's
jump pass.
especially going the
Both
opposite direction.
both legs in the air. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's an ill-advised throw. And so even though he got Patrick Mahomes got that, here we go. We got Max Crosby spying him. And, Next Gen Stats said that he ran like over 1,000 yards in this game chasing after Patrick Mahomes, right? So he's preventing Patrick Mahomes from creating and picking up yards with his feet. And what does Patrick Mahomes do? Throws another ill-advised pass. Could have been an interception. It wasn't. All right. But again, that's the point of this, is to not allow him to scramble for yards and make him throw some, just not wise passes. That's the point of the QB spy. Here's another one. We got Arden Key. He did this the most, spying Patrick Mahomes. And, he's chasing after him. Patrick Mahomes is scrambling, tries to make another little jump pass there. Again, ill-advised throw, and credit to Trayvon Mullen for plastering on Travis Kelce here, right? But, I mean, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, he has a track record of being able to pull off throws like this, so you can't fault him for trying. But again, this is not good football, okay? So the Raiders want Patrick Mahomes to do this. And more often than not, even though he did have that one big highlight, he wasn't able to convert throws like this. And, this is another example of a turnover-worthy throw here. Arden Key, again, he's not rushing. He's waiting for him to break the pocket, okay? And what happens here is because Arden Key has an angle, okay, where he can come upfield in the direction of Patrick Mahomes, it prevents Mahomes from stepping into this throw. Okay, again, not good mechanics, not good technique. He's not able to step into this throw, sails it, and again, another near interception. Okay, so that was the point of spying the QB. Now, the Raiders also did some fantastic things in coverage. Okay, and we talked about this briefly in the intro. Let's go back to how the Raiders played Mahomes and the Chiefs last year. Okay, last year when they would have a formation to the field, on the field side, meaning on the wide side of the field, they would play a coverage where they would man up the corner, and then they would play like a cover two or a match kind of concept where the safety takes the number 2 vertical, the nickel takes the first out cut, and the middle linebacker takes the first in cut. Okay, to the field, and then to the boundary, meaning the short side of the field, they would play cover 2. Okay, where they would play a zone to the backside. They would play a match, a pattern match to the front side, and they would play zone to the backside. Okay, and the Chiefs got the Raiders on this quite a few times in this game. If everyone remembers, it was a game of multiple touchdown passes. 2 of them came in this split field kind of coverage, and one of the problems with it is this safety right here, because he has 2 vertical. Okay, it means he cannot help out on Garyon Conley over here. And if we look on the backside, this safety, because he's in cover 2, true zone, okay, he needs to guard the deep routes on this side of the field, which means he can't help out this safety over here when 2 goes vertical, okay? So what happens is there's a whole bunch of one-on-ones, and Patrick Mahomes, against one-on-one down the field, that's a tough ask for anyone. So what they started doing this week, and again, this is the first time that I saw a lot of, a coverage like this, is that they were playing quarters to the field. So true quarters, where instead of manning up that number 1 corner against the number 1 wide receiver to the field, okay, they would play a true cover 4, meaning this corner is reading 2 to 1 vertical. This safety is reading 3 to 2 vertical, and then the underneath guys on the front side, meaning the nickel and the middle linebacker, are taking the first out cut and the first in cut, respectively. Okay. And then on the back side, instead of playing zone, they just played straight man. And what happens is because they're able to play straight man on the backside, now that they have got like Corey Littleton instead of, Tahir Whitehead, right? Now this safety doesn't have to worry about staying all the way over the top because he knows this guy's in man coverage and he can cheat towards the middle. So in this look, it looks like it might be middle of the field close, cover one, but it's actually not. Post snap picture changes for Patrick Mahomes. All right. And he ends up taking a sack. Okay. Again, we got quarters to the field, 2-man to the boundary. All right. And now this safety here is able to help out to the front side, which is not something that, the previous scheme of playing straight cover two to the boundary allowed that safety to do. Okay. And what happens again? Mahomes takes a sack because guys are not getting open deep. Okay. They got three. Now they got, instead of getting one-on-ones deep, they have three guys on one guy deep. Okay. And Patrick Mahomes, not a patient guy at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Instead of taking check downs or throwing a high percentage throw, he's looking for a big play. Okay. And he gets sacked. Right. So I think kind of similar to how the Patriots schemed against Derek Carr's tendencies of checking down. The Raiders are scheming, knowing, hey, we're going to get extra guys vertical because that's all he wants to throw. He is not patient enough to move the ball incrementally down the field. Let's double up these guys downfield, right? And it ended up working against Mahomes this week. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's another one. Okay. Where they are playing quarters to the field, and this safety, because he knows he has man coverage over here, he's almost like he's playing in the middle of the field. Okay. And what happens, again, because he knows he has man to the backside, he's able to help out. Okay. When number 3 goes vertical. All right. So he takes, Eric Harris takes 3 vertical, and now we have a double on Tyreek Hill running down the field. All right. And Tyreek Hill's not able to adjust to this ball inside or outside because he's got 2 guys closing in on either and from either direction. All right. Now let's look at it from the end zone angle on this one. Patrick Mahomes, he sees Eric Harris take this 3 across. So he ends up trying to force the ball into double coverage. Right. So this is why this kind of offense or this kind of defense is working against the Mahomes offense. Okay. It's getting extra guys on vertical. Now, you can't just live in one call all game, right? Someone like Andy Reid and a talent like Patrick Mahomes, they're going to adjust. So what they ended up doing is they still played quarters, okay, true quarters to the field. But instead of having Eric Harris be the deep number 3, the poach safety taking number 3 vertical, they ended up a couple calls having Eric Harris actually play man on the running back and Corey Littleton dropping, okay, and opening up to find the 3 vertical. All right.
Okay.
And the beautiful part about this is obviously look how much space is between this back and this safety. Okay. But by the time Patrick Mahomes figures it out, he doesn't have his feet set, throws an errant pass, and they don't even get a check down. And another one that I posted on Twitter is them looking like they're in 2-man. But instead of being a 2-man, again, you got the safety poaching number 3 vertical, and the corner who is playing man on the number 3 receiver falls off, okay, and plays the rat in the hole. And to see for yourself, go back and watch every single Raiders defense, all 22 since Paul Gunther has been here. They have never run this coverage. This has never been run. Manning the backside when they're playing quarters on the front side has never been done by Paul Gunther. Okay, so this is definitely game plan specific, and it's something that Mahomes probably wasn't comfortable or hadn't seen before, and it ended up paying dividends because, again, they're doubling all the deep shots, and they're making him be patient, and it ended up working in the Raiders' favor this week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I mean just from what you're showing, man, that looks super like they really came with a different looks that they never came with before, and they really came to confuse Mahomes and actually play to Mahomes' tendencies, which is interesting because in the opening game against the Texans, and I talked about this on my quarterback podcast about how Mahomes was taking his checkdowns that game,
Yeah.
which was interesting because I feel like this game he didn't take
Just
anything
threw it out the
that
window. Yeah.
he didn't take anything that the defense gave him, and I feel like the game against the Texans he did that all game, and he was able to, and he's kind of doing that for some of the year. But I mean, like certain games, he kind of just feels like like the Chargers game, he just felt like he had to do too much. He felt like he had to take over the game, and that might be because the pressure too. If he's under pressure too much, he might start getting out of the pocket. I mean, he doesn't have like jittery feet or nothing like that. I saw somebody say that, like that's crazy, but like
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. But he definitely, if you get a lot of pressure on him, he feels like he has to get out earlier than he would if he felt comfortable in the pocket. Like his instead of him getting jittery feet, he leaves the pocket early.
Yeah.
That's what he does, or he runs backwards, or he'll
And
get out.
because, and like I alluded to earlier, he does it well enough where he makes these fantastic circus plays enough, right? That, you know, it's become a habit for him to do it. Now, if you want to call it a bad habit, again, I'm not going to go that far. I know I shared some strong language with you about
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes that I probably wouldn't put on air, but I will say, okay, that um, they knew he doesn't want to be patient, and it ended up working.
hmm
Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is such a good quarterback that I'm fully confident and worried that that's going to be something that he erases from his game,
yeah,
and the Raiders probably won't see that same quarterback next time. But yeah, it was something that I think people noticed. So I'm not going to say that they have the book on, like, this gave the blueprint for beating the Chiefs. I won't go that far about
yeah,
it, but it is like, because again, someone could say, you know, Belichick gave everyone the blueprint for beating the Raiders, but that wouldn't have worked this game,
yeah,
right? With the Raiders offense, right? So things are fluid, things are changing in the NFL, and I'm sure Mahomes is going to grow from this, unfortunately. But it ended up working this week. So a couple
yeah.
things, okay.
Okay,
I got a couple more things about the defense that I just didn't have time to put into a breakdown, but I probably will. I'll do a Cleveland Furl breakdown probably this week.
okay,
So stay tuned for that, Raider Nation. But the defensive line, and we talk about this all the time, the defensive line does not rush the passer every play, right? In
yeah,
Paul Gunther's defense, he wants them to get their hands on the guy in front of them, build a wall, stop the run. They threw all that out the window this week. All right. They were getting gashed in the run game.
yeah,
Okay. And they were like, whatever, screw it. We're just going to rush the passer all game. I thought they should have done that last week against Josh Allen, but they didn't
yeah,
for some
hmm
reason. Okay. But this week they did, and it paid dividends. So everyone's saying, okay, hey, Cleveland Furl is a bust. All right. This defensive line sucks. Where's the pass rush? Where's the pressure? Just see what happens when they actually do rush the passer every single down, right? See what happens. Okay, this is the kind of thing that would happen. They say that they had 32 pressures on Mahomes.
yeah,
32 pressures. I mean, I don't know what kind of, like, what they consider a pressure, but he was leaving the pocket almost like half of his pass
yeah.
attempts, right?
And they count a lot of those when he's out of the pocket, and like the Arden Key one, that would count as a pressure technically, but it's
All
not
right.
really a pressure.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it, but he was under duress. They weren't making
100%.
the move around. Okay, so that's the one thing I want to say. So kudos to the defensive line finally showing people that what they can do when they are actually asked to rush the passer the entire game. The other thing I'll say is those those coverages that I showed you, I would say belong to the cover 6 family of coverages. meaning they're playing quarters on one side and they're playing a half field coverage on the other side. Now, traditionally with cover 6, it means you're playing quarters on one side of the field and you're playing cover 2, zone on the backside, right? So the big adjustment this week is that they did play some cover 2 zone on the backside of their cover 6, but most of their cover 6 reps, they played man on the backside. Okay. But again, I'm just going to lump all this into the cover 6 family of coverages. All right. And Patrick Mahomes, I'm reading from this. You saw the tweet that I put out. So I'm reading from this chart that I tweeted out. He had 16 pass attempts against that kind of coverage, only completed 4 passes. So it's 25%. And they averaged 4 yards per pass attempt against that coverage. Okay. So this clearly is something that really worked well for the Raiders, right? And I think, and I'll just double down on this, because a lot of people have been down on Corey Littleton. You can't run that without Corey Littleton. You can't man on the backside with no safety help, right? Because the safety is worrying about the front side. So it's just one-on-one on the backside, the backside corner, and now Corey Littleton. You can't run that without Corey Littleton. That's the reason why they got him. Okay. There was a lot of clips that I saw where Patrick Mahomes is looking for Corey Littleton's man, and then he decides to throw somewhere else, and it ends up being an incompletion. Okay. So Corey Littleton is what allowed the Raiders to play that kind of coverage. All right. And then also, I'll also add that the Jeff Heath interception, for some reason, I didn't add that in there. The Jeff Heath interception happened or came on that kind of cover 6 where he's creeping and cheating towards the front side and he makes that interception. Okay. So, 2 sacks, a couple passes defensed, an interception, really bad, passing numbers for Mahomes against this cover 6. So this is like by far the best the Raiders have ever looked when using this kind of cover 6 family of coverages. I'll just say that.
Okay. All right, man. Yeah. So defense showed up in the second half. Got Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable, got him off his game, and that's all the Raiders really could do. I mean, that's kind of the formula. You got to get him uncomfortable and get him off his game a little bit. Can't let him just be in rhythm and do what he did in the first quarter, which was that bomb to Tyreek Hill. Like you got to make sure he doesn't have time to do that type of stuff. So, yeah. So, good stuff, BD. Good stuff. So let's get into this offense. What this offense did, which was put up 40 points on these bad boys, right? And it's crazy that the Chiefs have not allowed more than 20 points going into this game. And that was one of the craziest things for me with this, watching this.
It's crazy.
It's just that the explosion from that, like the explosion that came from this, but it was mostly the deep passing game that came out of this game was mostly based on how the Chiefs played them previously. We talked about this earlier, and we're definitely going to be going over this, but they really played on that and what the Chiefs were doing before, which is, they were jumping on short routes. I mean, Juan Thorhill throwing picks and stuff like that. So, it was basically the John Gruden attacking the Chiefs defense that played him last year in 2019. So let's get into the first play, which is the first big play to Henry Ruggs that everybody was excited about, that really set the tone for this game. So what this is the sail concept. So this is another great concept that the Raiders love to run, right? But if you remember last year when the Raiders ran this, Tyrann Mathieu, he peeled off and he picked it off, right? So that was something that the Raiders really set up this opening play with. And I'm going to show you how Tyrann Mathieu tries to do the same exact thing on this play. So he recognizes it. He recognizes that the formation, what the Raiders usually do out of this 3-by-1 bunch, and he's going to try to jump this play, right? So watch Tyrann Mathieu creep in the middle, stop right there. Like he's trying to jump the out route to Aguilar, right? Because that's last year when the Raiders ran the sail concept, we rarely saw them go to the go route,
Right.
right? I don't even know if they did once.
Hmm.
Okay, right. So if you see right here where everything's going, everybody's going towards the sail route from Nuss and Aguilar. That's where everybody's going, but nobody's checking out Henry Ruggs, who's about to run past everybody, right? And the safety doesn't notice that's behind Tyrann Mathieu, right? The safety, he doesn't notice what's about to happen until Derek Carr lets his ball go. So we'll go ahead and let this run. Ball in the air, and then of course the mossing by Henry Ruggs, right? As you can see, everybody's jumping it, right? Could have been a little bit of a better throw, but with me, with 50-50 balls and deep throws, I'm always make sure that the guy has a chance, right? So they were playing the short stuff all game. That's what their game plan was to stop the short routes, stop these sail routes, whatever they could do, right? So I'm gonna show this interception, basically, which I think because this interception kind of sets up another play that ended up being a big play touchdown. So this interception right here, this is the Yankee concept. Raiders run this all the time. You have Darren Waller running the dig route, right? And you got Nelson Aguilar running the post route, and Derek Carr, he's reading the free safety off of this play, right? And this is a basic play when it's third and one on this play when people are in their cover one man coverages, right? People like to run this because it puts the safety in a bind. He has to make a decision, and wherever he goes, that's where usually the ball. If he goes down, they go over the top. If he goes with the post route, they go to the dig. So it's
Right.
a great concept that works all the time for the Raiders, and you'll see that they try to go to this on the third and one. But as you see right here, I mean, definitely Derek Carr get through the check down to Jacobs, but I mean that's not the point of this. Uh, Breland, he comes off his route, right? And Derek Carr is already in throw motion. Derek Carr does not see him when he comes off this route. So that comes back to this, right? They were playing
Yeah.
the crossers and
Right.
the digs. That's what they were playing because last year when they run the Yankee concept, Derek Carr went to the digs, never really threw their post route.
Right.
So like I said, this is a more of a setup for what was to come, right? And yeah, he could have checked it down, would have been a first down, but I think the Raiders, they were trying to be aggressive this game, and Derek Carr was not expecting Breland to come out. He's already in his throw motion when Breland switches, right?
Not many teams have this kind of adjustment. I mean, maybe it's not just maybe it's not even an adjustment. Maybe it's just Rashawn Breland. Again, I was talking trash about him last game, and he proved me wrong. That's what I get. Or last episode, I wasn't talking favorably about Rashad Breland. So he's making
Yeah.
me eat my words here. But even if this is not an adjustment, then this is like a hell of a play by Breland here.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't expecting him to be there when he threw this pick too, and maybe that might be why he might have airmailed it as well. I mean, maybe Breon Waller's wide open. He does have time in the pocket. He has a little time just to kind of throw it to him, but he might have rushed it because he saw it late. But this goes back to they are playing these crossers. They kind of just left Aguilar. He's not throwing Aguilar anyways. I'm going to come off my man. I'm going to take this Yankee concept that the Raiders love to run. Very, very heavily. We come back next drive, right? Next drive, 14-3, right? We get the same concept again. We got the post and the dig route, right? Right. Now, what we're gonna add to this one, we're not gonna have a play action. We're not gonna have a play action with this one, right? What we're gonna have a jet to Derek Carr's right, which kind of gives Derek Carr the coverage. He's going to give him the coverage look that he's going to know what coverage he's getting before he's even playing. And then Henry Ruggs is going to come back down and run a quick little wheel, right? It's kind of which is going to hold number 27 while Aguilar gets his one-on-one with Mathieu, and then of course the dig route with Waller. So watch that, right? Like those eyes all on Darren Waller, right? But what he doesn't realize, the crosser, right? He's got his eyes on the crosser, but what's coming up behind him, right? And look at and Matthew's leverage is already off, and Derek Carr already sees it. And what I want you to notice on this one too is Derek Carr's feet. Okay, see how his feet, and then he turns it. He turned his body
Mm,
towards the throw, right?
good
His
catch.
feet his feet was pointed towards Waller, right? So that was I really think that was an adjustment from the pass play, and they saw that
Yeah.
and they adjusted and they knew they could hit that over the top. So his feet and his eyes were pointed towards Waller, and then he flipped his hips and hit Aguilar right over the top with a beautiful throw, touchdown.
The funniest part about this is there's an interview with Tyrann Mathieu asking like the worst time he ever got burnt, and he was talking about playing against Philadelphia Eagles, and Nelson Aguilar got him.
Yeah.
So Nelly strikes again, which
He's all over him, bro. He's all over him. So this next one we got this is the Henry Ruggs touchdown, and we're gonna see that Chiefs, they just had no respect for the deep ball on this. I don't know how you have Henry Ruggs back there and you do this coverage. I think this is just nuts that they decided to
yeah.
leave Henry Ruggs 101 like this.
This is
I
the
think
most egregious example. Yeah, I agree.
this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So the Raiders, they're gonna be one like kind of a formation like the Mills. So you get the post from Ruggs, right? Because the Mills is the dig with Renfro, right? And then you got the post over the top of Ruggs, and you get an out route from Darren Waller, and you guys got a kind of like a go route from Aguilar. That's kind of just a go route. He's not really going to be looking to that side. He's going to be reading, over the top. Do I go to the dig with Renfro, or do I go to the post over the top to Ruggs? And this is going to be probably the easiest read that Derek Carr has made in his NFL career. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
the easiest read he's ever made in his career.
That's
It
funny.
seriously is.
That's funny.
It's just easy. Like soon as he comes down, man, this play is already decided. This play was over. It didn't even matter. It's seriously. They seriously were playing the shallow routes, and the difference is between Bill Belichick and Steve Spagnuolo is that yeah, they're both great defensive minds, but I just have a feeling, just a feeling, if Henry Ruggs is on the field, I don't think the Patriots do the game plan that they did.
Well,
I don't know
in
how.
the biggest difference between this game plan and the Patriots game plan is that they were taking rushers off to spy
That's
running
true.
back,
That's true.
whereas what the Chiefs are doing is very unsound and taking safeties, out of the middle of the field, so they're gambling a lot. Whereas Bill Belichick, he wasn't gambling. He just was like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm only gonna rush three, and I'm just gonna,
yeah.
not let him check down on us.
Yeah, that is a good point. But this is crazy because, like I said, as soon as he drops, right, Carr already knows where he's going with this ball. It doesn't matter who's rushing, where the blitz is coming from. He knows he's going to get rid of this ball quick enough, and he knows if he anticipates it that he'll be able to get the ball to Ruggs, and Ruggs is going to win because if it's Henry Ruggs, he's even, he's leaving, right, and you already see that he's already won. Easiest read of his life.
Oh yeah, it's over. Outside leverage too. It's a wrap.
Outside leverage, it was over. It was just like watching Alabama, just how quick he accelerated out of it too. I was like, man, that's against Southwest Missouri State. That's what that looked like. But yeah, and the blitz, like I said, it didn't even matter under pressure. He knew that if he once Swartzen came up, I'm throwing this over the top. I'm taking my chances with Ruggs winning. Touchdown, right? And all right, and this is one of my favorite plays here of this game. This is 3rd and 18. It is 30-24. Okay. The Raiders get the ball back. We who knows what happens. Mahomes, he could play ugly all game. If you leave him in the game, he's gonna have that magical fourth quarter where he just
Yeah,
throws it
right.
and through a triple team or something crazy,
I
right?
was
Everybody's
sweating.
like,
I was sweating
I was
at this
I
point.
was sweating. I was sweating. This 3rd and 18, I was sweating. But this goes back to the Chiefs playing the short stuff. And they made a big mistake, and they were not expecting Derek Carr to go over the top. And I don't know what they were thinking, because in the second half they just switched. The second half they went back to their two high shells that they've been playing all year, and a little bit of cover 7, stop the deep ball. they switched and they made the Raiders kind of meticulously go down the field, which they were able to do. The Raiders were able to still move the ball how they wanted to because since the game was in their hand, they were able to go back to how they
Right.
want to play, right?
Right.
And the Chiefs, they obliged. They took that. They got a couple stops out of it, but the Raiders were still able to get some scores doing that. But this was the big play in this game, and the Chiefs, the coverage they played, they decided they wanted to play the short stuff again, and they're jumping Darren Waller, and we got a little bit of a little wide cross here. We got a little bit of kind of a air raid variation here with the wide cross. Renfro, they all jump here, Darren Waller, and you see the opening.
Yeah, Sorensen was on the wrong end of a couple of these, right?
Yeah, it was
Um,
it was not a good game for them. And going back, but let's talk about Derek Carr on this play, right? Like he could have threw that ball to Waller. Waller's open, technically, right? He could have just dumped it off to Waller, ate it up, punt. It's 3rd and 18. Take your chance, right? But it was a different mindset in this game. He came to win. He came to win this game. This is probably the biggest throw of the game to me because he seriously could have just threw that ball to Waller. Waller's open, and they're expecting him to do that, right? They all jump it. He could have threw it to Waller, but no, huge. And then they were able to get a field goal, go up 9, which is going up 9 is huge in the NFL. Still 2 scores,
right.
right? And that's what I'm saying. He felt the pressure, slid to his left, kind of threw a little bit of a wobbler, but it got there. It didn't matter. That's really what this game was. That's why I say if the Raiders play the Chiefs again, I wouldn't expect to see a lot of these coverages, right? I mean, we talk about that play. That's my little fullback sail right there. Alec Engel out the backfield. But, I wouldn't expect the Chiefs to run some of these coverages that they're running, right? The next time they play, I expect the Raiders to have to go back to a little bit to their ball control a little bit. I don't think they're going to be allowing Henry Ruggs to run past him anymore, right? But, they were still able to get some things to the short game, like this play right here. I talked about this play on Twitter. The Raiders ran this back in 2001, which is I was excited because I remember when I watched it this summer, I was like, why doesn't he not run this play? Like this would work in today's NFL. I don't know why he would not run this. And they finally busted it out with the little angle route with Waller, right? And they ran that with Jerry Rice back in 2001 against the Giants. I love this play. But, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just wouldn't expect the Chiefs to play like this again against them. So while it was exciting and they were able to kill them over the top, this was a little bit more of a matchup thing too. Like I wouldn't expect in the following weeks for the Raiders to keep just chucking the ball down the field. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. Like I know some fans are going to be, that's their expectation now. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we chuck the ball down the field all the time. That's going to happen every single week, and I don't think it is. I think it's going to be more dictated how teams play them. But another thing I will say about this game is that now with the fear over the top, like how are the Bucs going to play the Raiders, right? Are the Bucs going to be scared not to allow the deep ball? And that's going to open everything up for Derek Carr. Once teams fear it, they have a little bit of fear of it. Like maybe he's take some shots early still, and that opens everything up for Waller. Like the play I showed last with the angle route, that opens everything up for Waller underneath. That opens up everything for Renfro underneath. That opens everything up else for Derek Carr to work the short game and work what he's best at, slants, all that stuff, quick outs, moving the football, making the right decision and being efficient and getting a lot of yak, right? Like what this offense wants to do. I mean, they want to hit the deep ball and stuff like that too, but they also want to get yak and all the other good stuff. And I feel like that's really going to open up this game. Just this game itself is going to open up everything for this offense because the way that they were able to be explosive, just the fear of it. Like Derek Carr was like 12 or 14 in the middle of the field. He was like, he was 3 for 3 on deep balls in the middle of the field with a couple touchdowns. So, he was able to be explosive. And I'll throw out a stat that he is top 5 and he's actually number 4. It's adjusted net yards per attempt, right? ANYA. It's the stat that predicts the MVP every single season.
Yes. Yes,
Like
it's
you
the
have to
most.
be
This is the most important QB stat.
right. You have to be top five in the stat to win MVP. The only person who wasn't top five to win MVP last decade was Cam Newton, and he was six. So,
Okay.
right, it, Derek
And
Carr's
how
number
many
four.
rushing touchdowns did he have? So it's like it evens out, right?
It evens out, right? But he's still six though. He's not like he wasn't like 13 or like that. He
Yeah.
was still six. He's really high up there, right? And Derek Carr's fourth right now. So I mean, there's really no argument about him playing well. You can make the argument: is he going to be consistent enough to keep it up? I mean, you
Yeah.
could debate that, but there's really no argument about his play. Like, that's we're just you guys are just arguing. You bring up
Yeah.
fumbles, whatever you want to do. That's just a wasted argument to me. It's so because another thing too, we could talk about this is that they don't play this through 5 games, right? They haven't been able to run the ball very well. They haven't been able
All
to
right.
play defense. The only one constant they have is their passing offense. That's the only constant they have. That's the only thing that's been consistent through 5 games is the
Yeah.
passing offense. So, I mean, we can look at it however we want, but that's just the truth. And them having the line when Incognito comes back, it's going to be tough for teams to stop them because it's going to be tough to get to Derek. Derek's going to have time, and then it's going to be tougher to get to Jacobs because Jacobs is going to be fresh. Um, it's going to be tough for teams for sure. But go ahead, BD.
So adjusted net yards per attempt while we're still on the topic. Okay. I actually dove pretty deep into this stat, right? A couple of years ago when I was writing a piece for Silver and Black Pride. And I found that the top, um, I forget the exact number, but it was like the top 50 adjusted net yards per attempt seasons over the past, it was like 4 or 5 years that I went back,
Yeah,
right? Only two of those quarterbacks had teams that did not have a winning record.
yeah,
It's like and everyone knows that pays like people who are like super into stats. So I won't say everyone, but everyone who is pays a lot of attention to stats. They all know that adjusted net yards per attempt is the number one indicator if a team wins or loses.
yeah,
Has a winning season or has a losing season. It can
100%.
all be it's all boiled down to adjusted net yards per attempt. And it was like Drew Brees one year when they had a terrible defense and they went like 7-9. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? But he still had like 5,000 yards passing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it was like him, and I think it was Matt Ryan another year when like the Falcons had like a really bad year on
mm,
defense. But those are like the only two in like the last 5 years that had like one of the the top adjusted net yards per attempt that were not on a winning team. So that's a super good sign for Raiders fans that Derek Carr's adjusted net yards per attempt is that high. Shout out to Nelson Aguilar, now Henry Ruggs to
yeah,
go along with, you know, Darren Waller. And something else that I'll also add to this, and I was talking about this, and I'm just piggybacking exactly what you were saying. But
yeah,
I talked to Glenn Rockney on the Rare Candy podcast. Shout out G Rock,
yeah,
about basically if the Raiders are able to have a vertical passing offense, that's just like the final element, the final ingredient that they need, for this offense to do anything any given week, you know. And last year, I know that people didn't realize it, but I'm just watching the games and I'm like, this offense is like moving the ball really well, for the majority of last year until like maybe we like Raiders they went to New York and then they weren't the same team after that, right?
yeah,
But like the majority of the season, the offense was working. It just wasn't working vertical outside the numbers passing game. Like that was like
exactly.
the one area where it's just like Tyrell Williams was never a jump ball guy. He wasn't winning contested catches. Who could you count on to win outside? Hunter Renfro was like the guy who won outside the most, which is just like, come on.
Yeah,
Like no offense, Hunter Renfro. Like that's I'm not no definitely no offense to Hunter Renfro. But I mean like come on, if this is
yeah,
your guy winning outside is the 5'10" slot guy, is the guy who's winning outside most often. So now that you have Nelson Aguilar, now that you have Henry Ruggs, you're allowing Darren Waller to feast across the middle. You're lightening the box if Josh Jacobs needs to close the game out, you know. And it's presenting a lot of problems for a defense. Like if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, wait, how are we going to account for all the ways that they could attack us every play? You know, do you take a safety out of the box to worry about Hunter Renfro or I'm sorry, Henry Ruggs, and then you got guys like Darren Waller and Hunter Renfro eating you across the middle, right? You try to double those guys. Maybe take a safety to do something else. Maybe Josh Jacobs now gets going because you don't have a safety in the box. So there's a lot of issues with this when it's running well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see the run game get back to what we were used to seeing last year.
Yeah.
And then continue to see he doesn't have to be like we're not talking about Derek Carr being Lamar Jackson here, but I like that what we've seen the last couple of games, him using his feet, extending plays a little bit, right? Just a little bit. It's better than what we've seen for like the last like 3 or 4 years from Derek Carr, right?
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged to see that too, because that's gonna be the difference between a 3-and-out and a longer drive, maybe that ends in a field goal or something like that. When Derek Carr can move around, gain some yards with his feet, he had those quarterback sneaks. Obviously, it's not the same kind of category, but still, he's doing some of these, chain moving
He used to
himself
suck at
with his
those.
legs.
I mean,
Right, and yeah, he used to suck. He used to suck
the
at
one
those.
of the
Yeah.
Seahawks, the one against the Seahawks might be the worst QB quarterback sneak I've ever seen in my life. So we we've come a long way. Once we hit 2 quarterback sneaks with Derek Carr, I was like, oh, this must be a different season.
So, are you saying then that the run game is the weakness of this offense right now?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wasn't in the fourth quarter, so it's tough because I mean Booker had that big run, but just over 5 weeks, if we were talking, if we want to talk as a whole, like, and people want to talk about one game with people, and like they like to do that one game. This is only one game, but if you want to do a whole compile of all 5 games, the weakest part of this offense is the run game, right? I mean, they're not very efficient right now. They're not getting big chunks of yardage, big
Yeah.
gains, and
I think it's
they're
twofold. I think
yeah,
there's 2 reasons for that. The biggest reason is Incognito gets hurt, Trent Brown is not active, so they don't have like their actual offensive line.
yeah,
That's part of it, I think. The
hundred
other part
percent.
of it is once Henry Ruggs went down, I think teams were like, okay, we just have to take Josh
That
Jacobs out of
too.
this.
That too.
And I know a lot of people like to think that Josh Jacobs runs against like the most 8-man boxes in the NFL. He doesn't. Okay. You can go to NFL Next Gen Stats. You can find 8-man boxes. He's like 20th on the list. He does not see more 8-man boxes than any running back in the NFL. Okay. It's like maybe like a little over average, just slightly over average,
Yeah,
for Josh
yeah.
Jacobs. All right. But I do think that teams, like they have emphasis on stopping him, even if
Oh
they
yeah.
only have 6 or 7 guys in the box. But now pick your poison, you know.
Yeah,
That's the fun part about it.
and I do want to go back to my play action point, which is because they ran play action 43% of the time this week. So uh, keep running play action, John. We're 3-0. You're over 30%. We're 3-0, and we scored 36 points a game. That's all I'm saying. Just think about it. Just think about it that way. I mean, you could say that, well, we have Rutgers on the field. That's why we scored 36 points a game too. Or maybe it's that it's both, and you play action and Ruggs is on the field.
Right.
Or maybe you play action because Ruggs is on the field. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Maybe that's your thought process, John. But let's keep that going. Let's keep the play action game going because Carr, I mean, he's played his best when he's had that. It makes it easier for him. It makes it easier for the line. It gives him more time. It's just a good formula for this Raiders team. And I expect the run game to get better. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that's actually a good thing right now. This team is being carried by the pass offense because the rushing is gonna get better. I know Jacobs is about to start. He's gonna have some 100-yard games to end this season, right? So I mean that's bound to happen. So I think that's a good thing that it's like this right now, because once we start getting into later in the season and Jacob starts really getting going, and he's a little bit more fresher. If they give more carries to Booker and more touches and stuff like that, then it will be a good look. I think it will be a good going forward. I kind of just want to see how they do against the Bucks. I think that will kind of tell me really what this team can look like. because I think they could beat the Bucks myself because just how much they blitz and stuff like that. And Todd Bowles is kind of stubborn with that. He's not gonna switch it up. He's gonna blitz him 30 times
Yeah,
just like he always
Todd
does.
Bowles, but to get like, we'll get into it, but Todd Bowles is like the best blitz designer in the NFL.
I know. I
We'll
know.
get
But
into it though. We'll get
I
into it.
know.
Right.
I know.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
We'll
I
split.
love Todd Bowles. So hold on. Here, I'll just say my thought, and you
Okay.
can counter or rebuttal
Go ahead.
any way you want. Okay. So this week we've seen Derek Carr get the monkey off his back. He has like 3 touchdown performance in Arrowhead. Awesome. Okay. And then we see someone like Jimmy Garoppolo have a really bad game, and he ended up getting benched or something like that. I think that was probably just to keep him from getting injured. I don't think
Yeah.
that was like, I don't think they're replacing Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
And now you see how like kind of because not everyone, obviously not everyone, but a lot of people were like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like so good. He's better than Derek Carr is, and now you see like how fluid all this is, and people have this recency bias. Okay, but I don't really think that there's a huge difference between these two quarterbacks. I would put him, Carr, Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, probably all in like the same bucket of quarterbacks that
Yeah.
when they have a great offense, they will look great. You know,
Hmm.
play action will be their friend.
Yep.
Throwing in rhythm will be their friend. And if all the things work out together, they can have like MVP caliber or close years. So I don't think that Carr is better than he has been.
Yeah.
I don't, obviously people see all the times he's thrown downfield and they're like, oh, Carr. No, I think he's the same Carr. I don't think that anything really has changed. I just think that the way that defenses are playing versus now the personnel that they have has that's what changed, right? And that's
Yeah.
why you see. And so to your point, when you brought up earlier, yeah, I don't think that the Raiders are going to throw deep like six or 7 times a game.
No.
That's not in Gruden's nature, and it just happened to be like the defense was literally just like daring them to do it. You
And
know
they
what I'm
did it
saying?
this
Like
week.
it was like it's lightweight disrespectful.
It was.
A lot of it, because some of the throws that Patrick Mahomes was attempting, that was very disrespectful as well too. Like, bro, are you serious? You're gonna throw these into triple coverage, like you dick? Like, are you serious? That's what you think?
The whole Chiefs game plan was disrespectful, bro.
It was so disrespectful. They did
Because
not
even the
respect the
play I
Raiders at
showed the
all.
rugs, bro. Even the play I showed the rugs. Like, what are you thinking? How could you even see rugs on the outside?
Yeah. Yes.
What
I'm
you
with
think
you.
was gonna
I'm
happen?
with you. I'm with you. It was very disrespectful. So they deserve to get beat. And like they're all shocked too that the Raiders like, wait, the
Like, oh my
Raiders can
god,
rush the passer. The Raiders can throw deep all of a sudden. They're like checking the rule book and they're like, wait, is this in my contract?
but seriously, bro. If that was Brian Edwards, the car would have threw that deep, bro. Like the safety is
Yeah,
jumping
everyone.
down. Like it was
Anyone.
Brian.
Yeah.
It, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking watching that. Like, bro, like they just act like they really thought Derek was just gonna hit shallows all game.
They really did. And like even after getting beat several times, they continued.
They continued it. They did it for a whole half.
Like they did not adjust. They were just like, nah,
I mean,
he's gonna throw one of these is gonna be a jet. I'm gonna jump it. It was disrespectful, honestly, on both ends. On both ends.
I didn't show a lot of BD, but they were doubling Hunter Renfro like crazy, man. Which that's why he only had one catch, 42 yards. They were seriously all over Hunter Renfro. Like they were thinking, like I don't know what they thought. I mean,
Right.
I guess Hunter probably felt like pretty cool after that game. I've never been doubled before.
That's Matthew Tyrann Matthew freelancing probably and being like, okay, I'm gonna double him because he thinks Carr is gonna throw it to him all game, But yeah, no one had respect on the Chiefs, no one had respect for him, and that's what happens in the NFL. If you don't respect your opponent, you're gonna get beat sometimes, But one thing I will say, the caveat that I have to all this is, now that the Raiders beat the Chiefs, I know that there's going to be a lot of Raiders fans who will go out there and be like, we can beat anyone. Okay? I'm not ready to go that far. Okay?
Okay.
Obviously, it's good, but it would have been definitely a closer game if the Chiefs played like you're saying. We've seen Mahomes be patient and hit checkdowns. He just threw all that out the window. We've seen the Chiefs do a really good job in pass defense. They threw all that out the window.
Medicine.
All right. So let's see what happens next time the Chiefs play, and hopefully
Yeah.
they actually respect the Raiders a little bit, and
Yeah.
we can actually see like what they really have. But I'm looking at the schedule, and people were saying it's an easy schedule, and I'm like, which game is going to be easy?
Yeah.
Because like Buccaneers have a great defense. You know, if you want to go all the way to like the Jets stomped the Raiders last year, and the Raiders are going to New York again in the cold.
Yeah.
All right, and trust me, it's trash. I've watched a game at that stadium in late November. It's trash, just sitting there in the frigging like wet, cold, rainy.
Yeah.
It sucks. Okay, so we saw the Raiders get their teeth kicked in last time against the Jets, and the Jets sucked last year too. All right, Miami Dolphins. I think that's a dangerous team. Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, I know that Phillip Rivers. You know, he was trash last week.
Yeah. See, you're talking
But
about
that,
December.
but I'm saying, like everyone's saying, oh, look at all these teams that this is like an easy schedule. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, I don't see any gimmies on this schedule. I mean,
Oh,
that's
there's
just
no
me.
gimmies. There's no
There's no
gimmies.
there's no gimmies. These are all gonna be tough games. You
Yeah,
know.
I think they're all gonna be tough games, but it's just gonna be. I mean, like, because the Bills got destroyed, today.
All right.
So I think, and the Raiders could have beat the Bills. Let's just be real. They could have beat the Bills if they didn't turn the ball over and do those stupid things. So I think if the Raiders play their game, I think they can match up with a lot of teams. I don't know about defensively. The defense they still got to get their stuff figured out. But I think
You gotta prove it.
offensively,
Yeah.
yeah, offensively, they can match up with anybody and they'll be able to keep up. Even, I mean, the Bucks defense, like I said, they blitz a lot. Derek Carr is pretty good against the blitz. I think Derek Carr matches up pretty good against the Bucks defense. The Browns, I mean, the Browns aren't very good in the secondary. They got a good pass rush. Well, that's why the Raiders got a good line. They match up good against them. It says, are the Raiders be able to be able to stop the Browns on the other side? That's kind of the it's gonna be the theme for the rest of this year. Just like where the Raiders play the Chargers have a good defense that's going to be able to slow them down a little bit, or the Raiders going to be able to slow down Justin Herbert and these other guys. And that's kind of how this season is going to go for the rest of the way. Is if the offense doesn't show up, are the Raiders going to win? That's the main question, because every as you even see with the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs have the greatest offense in the world. They really didn't show up this game like they really show up. They kind of did in the first half, right? But we ended up seeing that was a little bit of a fluke. They couldn't keep up in the second half, right? That's not some other games though. They'll be able to keep going. They'll be able to keep playing, and they'll be able to keep moving the football and keep scoring touchdowns and put up 50, right?
Um,
It's how does your team play when your best part of your team doesn't show up? Because there's going to be somebody that stops this offense, and that's just a thing that we have to know that there's going to be a team out there that's going to have a good game plan to slow down this offense.
yeah.
Is the defense going to be able to do their part to keep them in this game too? And they don't have to be great. They can't be giving up 30 a game though. I mean, they're giving up 30 a game right now. That's not sustainable. I don't
It's
care.
not
Like,
sustainable. Yeah. It's not
it's
sustainable.
not. It's not. So they got to get a little bit better on I mean, if they play in the second half, like, I mean, because they play so great in spurts, right? The first quarter against the Pats, the second half against the Chiefs, right? I mean, the third quarter against the Bills, they're all right. It's just like in spurts they're playing well. Defense has to become more consistent, and the defense becomes more consistent. I think they can win a lot of games. I think 10-6 and 11-5 is very reasonable at this point, and that's just me.
If the defense gets consistent.
If the defense gets consistent, but I still think,
Yeah.
like, even if it doesn't, I still think they can get to 10 wins. Just looking at I mean, what is that? They'd be go 7-4 the rest of the way. I think that's possible. That's very possible for them to go 7-4. Just look at the schedule, and because if they lose a couple, maybe lose some that they don't. I think 7-4 is very reasonable. Um, I don't think it's crazy.
I'm not gonna get. I'm not. I would need to see a lot more from this team to start predicting 10 wins. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
because yeah, I mean, yeah, the offense has been a bright spot. But 4 out of 5 games, the defense just
It's
blew
been bad.
cheeks. And
I know.
their best game, they still gave up what
32.
32 points. Okay, that's their best game, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not ready.
but that's what I'm saying. But team, because I mean, they're definitely, if the defense keeps playing like they can sneak into the playoffs with this defense. That's all I'm saying. With how this offense is playing, just get a couple turnovers a game, and it's kind of just play like it's 2016, man. I guess if they get some turnovers, make a couple plays, give them a short field a couple times so they can score more points. That's all they need to do. Because I really don't think they're going to be able to stop anybody consistently. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
We'll
see how
see
it
though.
shakes out. All right,
All right, man. Any other last thoughts?
that's it for me, man.
That's it. Last thoughts from me. I mean, it's good to get the bye. Team will get healthy. I think it's gonna be a good thing going forward. We'll see how they do against the Bucks. See, that kind of sets the tone. I think they go out there and they beat them. I think that kind of sets the tone for how the rest of the season is gonna go. So, um, we thank you guys for listening. Come in and check us out. Once again, thank you for subscribing. Hope you guys learned a little bit more about kind of this game plan that we saw, and the exciting game, and a lot of the deep throws that we saw, and the exotic defenses that uh, Paul Gunther was able to throw at them. So we really appreciate you guys listening to us. Make sure you follow me at the Mark John NFL. Follow BD on Twitter as well at BD Williams 18. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. If you know somebody and you really enjoy the show, that's a Raiders fan, show them. So they can show their friends, and we can get this all around and get this spread. And we really appreciate the rise that we've had in 2 months. A lot of Raiders channels, like I always say, they don't start off like this. They kind of the the big rise that we had a little bit. So we appreciate all you guys, and some of you guys who already got some loyalists. So we really appreciate you
Hey,
guys as
right.
well. So um, definitely everybody, and then like I said, tell a friend and subscribe. All right. Any last words, BD?
Shout out to Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
One of our loyal listeners, Puget Zulu, Jim Vivian. You
Yeah.
know, we know you guys are diehards out here. You know, we
Yeah.
bang with you.
Yeah. My dude Syed too. Yeah, he's
Oh,
diehard over
right,
there
right,
too.
right. There's a lot. My bad
There's
if I
yeah,
miss you. I'm gonna
yeah,
get you. I'm gonna
say,
get you.
everybody that's in the comments that we see every week, we appreciate every single one of you guys. So thanks for listening. Check us out. And we're ready to do some more breakdowns. We're not gonna give you guys no content over the bye week. We're still gonna be hitting you guys on Saturday and next
Stay
Wednesday.
tuned.
So
Stay
stay
tuned.
tuned. All right, guys, check us out. See you later.